Welcome to the HIV podcast. Each week we focus on a person, historical event or pop culture moment linked to HIV and explore the story of what actually happened. I'm Sarah.
And I'm Jess, and between us we've been working in the field of HIV for 40 years. Our aim is to get as many people as possible HIV educated. Welcome to the HIV podcast. Said that so professionally that I've stunned you into silence.
Well, it's like your best telephone voice. Very good, thank you.
Okay, I'm very excited for next week, by the way, because guess where we are? Virtually.
The Olympics?
No!
Oh, it's not starting actually that week.
Nice.
The London athletics thing?
No. You are never going to get us another press pass again. Do you know that? We're going to virtually be at the International AIDS Conference.
Oh, and it's good. I have seen the programme. There's so many things to choose from.
Honestly, so many. We've had to split it, haven't we, between us, quite a lot of it, because there's so many good things. Do you know what I cannot wait for on Monday morning at 11:30? Living your sexual dreams. That is what I'm going to.
Oh, that is a good one. Oh, I knew I should have picked my choices first.
Yeah, you should have got in there, Sarah. Anyway, I have news.
That's not the news.
No, no, that's not the news, no. I have news that is in the news from Monday this week. Now, this goes out on a Friday, so if this has changed in that time, no one can hold me to it. So this is from an article in the Metro, and it's all around this case. Someone has come forward to speak to the Metro, and they've published an article. So it's Josh Milton, and it says, "I fear Grindr shared my HIV status, so I'm suing them." And it's about the case of there are 1,500 people taking legal action against the world's biggest dating app for LGBTQ plus people. And it's it's a claim lodged at London's High Court. And they've accused Grindr of sharing the intimate information of its users with third parties for profit.
No.
Yeah, how bad is that? Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so I mean, I think we've certainly heard, people chatting about it in the drop-in, haven't we? So it has to be affecting Grindr's numbers, right? I mean, are people still using it? Let us know. Do you still use it, or has this affected how you feel about using it?
I've heard people say they don't use it anymore.
So this says, so this bit is from their lawsuit.
Mm.
The claimants allege that without their expectation, knowledge or consent, the defendants deployed covert tracking technology within the Grindr app to collect and share various categories of personal data, including highly sensitive personal data with third parties. Isn't that bad?
I wonder how they found out.
So it says the first issue came to light in 2018 when BuzzFeed News reported that Grindr was sharing user HIV status with Aptimize, I think that's how you say it, and Localytics in response to the allegations. Grindr said it did so with trusted contractors, and they said they removed any data regarding HIV status from both Aptimize and Localytics. I don't know how to say that. And then in 2020, Norway's Consumer Protection Agency filed a complaint against Grindr for unlawful data mining. And the following year, the Norwegian Data Protection Authority fined the app 65 million Norwegian kroner, approximately £4.8 million, for violating privacy laws after failing to comply with GDPR for a certain period of time.
Oh my gosh, so they get people to sign up.
Yeah.
And then they use the information they provide on their profile and they supply it to other companies.
That's what they've been doing. And it says the platform had a take it or leave it approach to consent. So I'm assuming that's you either consent to everything or you can't use the app. That must be what that means, right?
That's awful.
Yeah, I know.
I didn't see. You just don't. Well, I know it happens all the time, doesn't it?
Yeah.
How often does this happen and we don't even know about it?
Yeah.
This is what worries me about everything being online. You order your prescriptions online. You can get your medical information online. I tell you, it's all being watched. I guarantee it.
That's the Grindr case. And the good thing is all the clients in the claim are going to remain anonymous following a court order. So there's no fear that their details are going to become public or shared with anything else or anything like that. So that is good to know. But awful that that's happened.
It is, and I think it's scary, isn't it? If you are on that app and you've been open about your HIV status, you now don't know what happened to that piece of information.
Yeah, it's not good at all.
No, it's why we take our responsibility to be confidential so seriously, because we are often asked to share data. In fact, I had a meeting last week with an organisation about this, where they are obviously very interested in to work with other organisations and to share the knowledge that we have around people with HIV. And we just have to be so careful, because we're in a very privileged position of trust. People tell us things they don't tell anybody else, and it's not our right to share that with anybody without their consent.
What are we doing today?
We are looking at serodiscordant couples. I said that in far too jaunty a voice.
Okay, so this was a topic, wasn't it, that someone had suggested to us, because we always love a topic suggestion and we take it very seriously. And so here is the serodiscordant couples episode.
Yes. So we have acted on their advice, not their advice, take that out. We've acted on their request.
Yeah.
So serodiscordant couples, when one of you is HIV positive and one is negative, can also be described as mixed status couples.
Yeah.
Some people don't like that serod. I can understand it, because what does serodiscordant mean? But either way.
It's just another complicated term, isn't it, in a world of complicated terms?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
At least it's not an acronym.
Yeah, that's true.
Yet. Now, when we look at topics normally, we always do it with the HIV positive person in mind. Might not always seem like that when we're blithering on, but that's the intention, isn't it, Jess?
Yeah, yeah.
But this week, we're going to focus on the person that is negative. So when you're in a relationship and one of you tests positive, there is, of course, an impact on the partner, even if they test negative. And we don't talk about it as openly as we should.
That's such a good point. And this is one of the things that, not all of what you've just said, but the person that suggested this topic had said, have a look at, the different facets of it. I think it was something like that. So you're so right.
Yes. And they mentioned a short film as well, which I've watched. And thank you for the recommendation. It's called You Equals Me, and you can find it on YouTube. And it tells a story of a married couple and what happens after one of them is diagnosed with HIV. And it gives a really good insight into the negative partner's perspective. It's really good, actually. It's only about 30 minutes long. And there's a very strong message in the film about you equals you. And a great quote, actually, from a doctor. So the doctor's talking to this couple about you equals you. And he says, let's not underutilize this science. This is one of the most incredible inventions of our century. I'm going to use that to explain it to everyone from now on.
Oh, yeah, I think you should.
It's quite powerful. I've never thought of it like that. Of course.
Yeah.
We shouldn't underuse that. Scientists work really hard on this. And we're probably doing them a bit of an injustice if we don't keep pushing this message.
Yeah.
Having said that, if I were to tell people that scientists worked, I don't think I would take any notice. I'd be like, I don't care about scientists.
Oh, really?
Yes. It's not going to make me believe it's right or wrong or the way to move forward.
Yeah.
But I do like the idea that we're not making full use of what we know to be true. It's like we've been given the key, Jess, but we won't open the door.
I like that analogy.
It took me all week to think of something like that. Anyway, at the end credits on the film are lovely, because it comes up with a message that says You Equals You promotes emotional well-being, nurtures relationships and combats stigma. And whoever wrote that, bravo. It does nurture relationships. Lovely way of putting it.
Yeah. But it's true, isn't it? And if only more people knew about You Equals You. Sounds like I'm writing a poem.
Oh, what would come next? What would rhyme with you? Loads of things.
So what did I say? I said, if only more people knew about You Equals You, what a beautiful world for me. Oh, and you, that's the same word. Oh, I'm not a poet. No.
Why don't you try and come up with a limerick for the next episode?
A limerick? That's quite hard.
Oh, all right.
There once was a woman called Sarah who liked to dye her hair.
Yeah, but nothing rhymes with Sarah.
Hair. It's like your hair. It's your hair.
It's not a word, though.
Sarah, Fairer, Wearer, Bearer, Terra, Nera, Sharer.
What
There
does that?
once was a woman called Sarah. Her buttons she never did share.
But that is true. But again, it's not a word. I don't want to be pedantic.
Fairer, like fair, to be fair. Be pretty.
Look, I'm more the wordsmith than you. I think we
Yeah.
can both agree on
No,
that.
this is not for me. I
No.
once sat in a meeting with Sarah where we basically just had to explain what we did, and my mind went blank. I just sat in silence and stared at a room full of people who stared at me. Because even though I'd worked at TVPS, but I'm sure this was only a few years ago, so it would have been about like 12, 13 years, I just sat there like, I have no idea what we do. None. In that
Right.
moment, obviously, not generally in life. You were there to save the day, though, weren't you?
I think I did just keep on talking. Otherwise, we'd have both been sat there
You had
staring at
to.
everyone.
You had to, which doesn't bode well because I have to do the exact same thing tomorrow in a meeting.
Oh, you're right.
Starting with Chantel.
Put notes. I always write down a couple of notes.
Yeah. On my hand, maybe. Oh, look, I'm coughing.
Just where you work, job title, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Right, back to our podcast. We are going to talk risk, prevention, and emotions from a negative perspective.
Oh, nice.
So we all know this. If your partner is undetectable, there is no risk to you. You equals you. You can have unprotected sex. You can have children. I mean, I know it's not that simple because some positive people struggle to believe you equals you and they worry about passing it on to their partner. Some feel guilty about putting their partner through this. And some people struggle with the diagnosis itself.
Yeah.
TVPS, and I've put here, and the many other HIV charities in the UK. That's not true. It's not that many anymore.
Yeah, there's really not.
No. TVPS and other HIV charities in the UK can help with all of these things. So we're not going to dwell on them here. But as the partner, all of this can be tough. Focus is on your partner, but you've gone through the stress of being tested and you're negative. So you could argue, well, your life hasn't changed. But of course it has, because there's lots of emotions and feelings, but probably coming secondary to that of your partner. You're doing what a good partner does. You're being supportive, you're being patient, trying to get your own head around it, but in an unobtrusive way, because you want your partner's feelings to come first. But in the back of your mind is the worry that they could infect you in the future and that your sex life might not be the same again. So it's got a big impact on both parties, and we need to acknowledge that.
I don't think we do talk about this enough, actually. Obviously, you and I see day to day, we support people's partners. So we do see that side of it. But you're right, we actually don't discuss that this much. And it's not like there are lots of support groups for partners and things like that, as in, just to talk about their own experiences and their own feelings and, their own worry about their partner because they love them.
Exactly. When we've worked with partners before, we're always saying it's okay to feel all the emotions, because I think there's guilt, isn't there, that, oh God, I don't feel really kind of on top of this, or I'm feeling really sad about this, but then I shouldn't because I should be there for my partner. And it's okay. You've got to give yourselves permission to kind of work through your own emotions if you're going to support someone else through any difficult time. And we want to be there for that person. But in order to be strong, we have got to check in on ourselves. One of the ways that we could do this, and again, when we've worked with couples and we've suggested this to the negative partner, there was, oh, should I? So one of the things we talk about is going for counselling, because we often say that the positive person can talk to their partner about this and they've got a medical team they can talk to, and they can talk to us.
Yeah.
But quite often, who does the partner talk to? Who does the partner offload to?
That's very true.
Yeah, where do they go with all the information that they're being told? And if your partner's positive and they're saying to you, I really don't feel ready to tell anybody else about this to you, then your normal avenues of support, your family or your friends, you can't turn to.
Yeah. But that's it. But even if you can talk to your family or friends, perhaps there are some elements of it that you don't want to go into because they might be personal to your partner. So you're not going to be wanting to go and sharing all this personal information. Do you know what I mean? So you're right. There needs to be other support that can be accessed that's more anonymous.
Yeah, and speaking to a counsellor can be really helpful. If your partner's asking you not to share their diagnosis with anyone, fine. Counselling is confidential between those four walls, between you and the counsellor. And you can talk about things that you might not wish to discuss with anyone anyway. It can also help if your partner's contracted HIV whilst they were in a relationship with you, I'm going to say biggie. It's not a technical term, is it?
Yeah, I mean, that is a massive one to start unpicking, isn't it? Even
Yeah.
if you have an open relationship, right? Even if it's an agreed open relationship and that happens, that is difficult. But we also have couples who did not think they were in an open relationship and their partner has contracted. And obviously it's a difficult time because I'm sure you're probably quite angry with them. So that's mixed in with everything else that's happening and the love and complicated.
It is complicated because it's a breach of trust.
Mm.
But it still needs to be explored. And
Yeah.
sometimes the best way to do that is with a counsellor. It's a supportive environment, and it can be really beneficial.
Yeah.
It can even be beneficial if your partner contracted prior to meeting you. So, I mean, nobody likes to think about their partner's exes, do they?
Yeah.
And if that's how they've contracted, then it is understandable to feel resentment towards that ex. And resentment, another big emotion, another big thing to work through. So counselling can help with all of that.
Yeah. Do you know another thing? Say someone's somewhere and they don't have access to counselling. You know, we know this is listened to all over the world. I got some great advice recently. I was having a little bit of CBT from a car crash that I had a while ago. And he had said to me, my little CBT man who loves tennis, that's all he talks to me about. Brilliant. But apart from that, he said you have to process your emotions, right? Because otherwise then you'll hang on to them and they'll start having more of an effect. He was saying one of the best things that you can do to do that every day is to journal. So if someone is out there and they don't have access to things like counselling, perhaps journaling. And if you're worried about people reading what you've written, you could make notes on your phone and then just delete it afterwards. Because the premise is that when you're writing or typing, it slows your thoughts down in your mind. So you're actually thinking properly about, well, how do I feel about this? And what do I think about this? Rather than letting your mind whir at a million miles an hour, journaling helps you process those thoughts so that you can kind of let go of them a bit. Not completely. I'm not saying it's going to fix your life, you know, but it lets you let go of them so you can then move on. So I'm just saying, if there is someone out there in an area where, you know, there's no access to counselling, try a little bit of journaling.
It's like a diary, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's fair enough because it's not done so that you go back and read it. So even if you wanted to write on a page and then rip it all up and put it in the bin, that the exercise is the physical act of doing it, of writing down how you are feeling and why you are feeling that way. Because you're letting your brain process it.
Yeah, well, you're giving yourself permission, aren't you, to just think in that moment.
Yeah, but also, like he was saying, when you literally try to think, it's over here, over there, over there. Whereas writing it down, it's you're properly thinking about it. It's really good.
Yeah, you're getting your thoughts in order.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
I know, right? So I just thought I'd add that in there because I'm loving journaling.
Oh, excellent. Oh, you could make it into a book and sell it.
What, journals? I think you can buy journals.
They like they used to have the secret diary of Adrian Mole.
Oh, you need to go and look up journals these days, Sarah, because there are
Do
millions.
people actually do this?
It's huge. Yeah, it's literally like, no, it's massive. There's a thing called Wreck This Journal. Go and have a look at that. And that is meant for you to burn it afterwards. It comes with matches.
So what, someone's published their thoughts? Well,
people
publish their thoughts all the time.
Oh, no, is that what you're saying? I thought you were saying just make a journal that people write in. Like, is that a notebook?
No. I just imagine people writing down all their thoughts and then getting them published as a book.
Absolutely not. No, I delete mine. No, because you don't. It's one of those hideous things, isn't it? Where it's like it's almost like an old Facebook status.
Oh, yeah.
You know, you feel a certain way and you're writing things. And even the next day, I don't want to go back and read it. Once it's done, I get rid of it. Yeah, I don't need to reread it because I'm just working through my thoughts. You know?
Oh, that is a good tip.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's risk. We've done risk. We've just covered emotions. Excellent. Next, sex.
Yeah. Oh, you said that in that was forceful.
Well, it's always the elephant in the room, isn't it?
Yeah, true.
So having an HIV positive partner doesn't mean the end of your sex life. We know this. covered it before. It might mean using condoms until they're undetectable or PrEP, but sex should most definitely still be on the table or anywhere else you fancy doing it. Do you like that?
I do like that, to be fair. That was very good.
So we've also talked before about how an HIV diagnosis does nothing for your sex drive. We've covered this in other episodes. In fact, it has the opposite effect in those early days after diagnosis. So partners, this is where you can help. Firstly, make sure you're fully comfortable with HIV and sex, because once you are, you can lead the way and show them. Because I think that's half the battle, really, and it should be seen in the battle. Poor choice of words.
Yeah.
But a lot of the times when I've spoken to people about, about their sex lives, sort of overdo, they're always worried about how the other person's going to feel. So I think, well, show them how you feel. Show them you're absolutely cool with all of this.
Yeah. And actually, do you know what? Go back and listen to our Topher Taylor episode. That is definitely one of my bits of advice, because Topher, the more recent one that we did, has some amazing advice around helping you feel more sexy and being more sexy. And so I think definitely do that, because you're so right. I think sometimes it's difficult to just take that lead, but it's so worthwhile.
Did you like how I yawned during you talking then?
Not
that
really.
was sexy.
It's just like, oh no, it's been a long day, hasn't it?
It has been a long day. So essentially, and yes, that's a really good top tip as well. Listen to the Topher Taylor episode. If you show that you're not fussed, it's going to go a long way to helping your partner relax too.
Yeah.
Having said that, should caveat this, Jess, we're not suggesting you leap on them 5 minutes after they've been told about their diagnosis.
Yeah, that's inappropriate.
That's not gonna work. So in those early days, you might want to be intimate but not penetrative.
There are lots of different ways to be intimate.
Go on, here we are. I feel a list coming on.
No, it's not one of those episodes again. No, but even I think people forget about like loads of different kinds of intimacy, like holding hands or hugging or just kissing. You know, I think there's, and I know you're talking about like foreplay, basically. She's talking about the old handy J's, is Sarah.
I'm fond of Gracie.
Oh, Sarah's cat's here. But yeah, so I think there are tons of ways to be intimate that actually are really thoughtful, but can bring you real closeness with your partner. And actually, I think one of the ways of being intimate is communicating also, which can seem like the hardest thing to do in those moments, is to communicate how you're feeling. But I've seen so many relationships fall apart because people aren't being honest and they're not communicating well.
Okay.
You know? I think that does bring you a closeness, doesn't it? Sharing how you're feeling about things and allowing that person to share too. That certainly fosters intimacy.
Excellent. And we know, I mean, some people do hate using condoms, or PrEP isn't for them. And all of it's like too much change. I think if you've gone from condomless sex to condoms and you're finding, you know, sex doesn't really flow the way it did, then yes, like you say, being intimate in other ways kind of gets over that, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's like, okay, so we might not have sex for a few weeks because just not a big fan of condoms, but let's do some other stuff.
Lots of heavy petting. Is that what you call it?
Heavy petting.
Yeah. Does that remind you of being a kid, like seeing the signs at the pool? No heavy petting.
Oh my God.
Doing that in the pool. Who was doing that at the local swimming pool?
Oh, you know how I feel about swimming pools.
Is it true, right? And no one laugh at me when I ask this, but do you remember you always heard those myths that if you had sex with someone in water, it would like create a vacuum and you'd never be able to get apart? I was always terrified.
Oh.
I was just like, no, water sex.
Oh my God, you've actually been in that position.
You know, in a hot tub, or like, I was going to say the sea. You know what I mean? But haven't you ever?
God, woman, is it just any water and you're like, come on,
yeah, that's
let's
it.
do it.
Have you not heard that? Is it a myth?
No.
Is that true?
No, I don't like swimming pools because essentially it's just a big bath with everybody in it, and it's just not for me.
Oh, yeah, I know what you mean. I went to the local swimming pool. I love water. I love swimming. But yes, I hate to think about all the urine. So a few years ago, I went to this local swimming pool with my flatmate Rachel, and we were having a lovely time. And I've been forever put off swimming pools because when we got out of the water, wrapped round and round around my wrist like a bracelet was an old lady's bit of hair.
Oh,
I mean, I hope it was from her head, but it was all, like trying to pull it off. I thought I was going to be sick.
Oh, that would make me sick.
Maybe that's when I transitioned to lakes. You know, I was like, no, there's no old lady hair in here.
No, still not a fan. But at least, and hot tubs are the worst. That is a bath that you're sitting in with other people, all sitting close up together.
Why are you imagining me at some kind of orgy? There weren't other people there. These are like private places. Like, you know, like if you go to like a nice hotel or something and they have like a hot tub or like a massive bath.
All right, so fair enough. Next time I run a bath,
Yeah,
I'll have a bath.
Yeah.
Got a new bath, as you know.
nice.
And then I'm going to ask you to come round and sit in it. In all my dirt. Not that I'm dirty.
So I wouldn't sit in your bath water, but I would sit in Ben's bath water. But not in a sexy way. I didn't mean it like that. I meant
just rubbing it all over yourself.
No. Oh God, we're going down like a Saltburn kind of. This is descending. No, I mean, no. But like, yeah. Anyway, let's move on.
Where have we got up to? Right, if your partner contracted whilst in a relationship with you and they've been unfaithful, that's a lot to deal with. I'm not suggesting in those circumstances that anybody leaps on their partner. There's a lot to work through there.
Yeah.
But I have put, as you said, communication is key.
Yes.
Don't talk about
Absolutely.
everything and you bottle it up. It's going to make everything a million times worse.
And if you're not ready to talk just yet, maybe journal, like I said. Maybe just a bit of journaling yourself, and then you might get there, because I like the why game. So I like to constantly say, well, so if I'm like, I don't want to talk to my partner about this. Why don't I want to talk to my partner about this? Oh, because I think they might judge me. Why do you think they might judge you? Oh, because remember that time they judged me for this. Well, why did they judge you for that? Promise you, if you keep asking yourself why, it literally unpicks so many interesting things.
I've had at least 6 years of that why game with 2 toddlers.
Oh, yeah, that's a slightly different one.
Just constant whys. Right, honest. Well, anyway, let's move on. Right. Do you know what I think it's really important to remember?
Yeah.
If you are a sero-discordant couple, is you are not the first couple to go through this. And you aren't the only sero-discordant couple in the UK. Many have gone before you and they have thriving relationships. Hopefully that gives people a little bit of hope.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, there are going to be moments of blame and shame. That's absolutely normal. But ultimately, focus on all the good things in your relationship, in your sex life before HIV. HIV doesn't change what you had. And you can support each other with this. You know, sexual health is, I've said this before, sexual health is just as important as physical or mental health. And yeah, when it comes to things like this, we don't see it in the same way, do you? You support your partner if they were having physical health issues or mental health issues. It's exactly the same for sexual health. There is practical help available. Psychosexual therapists help couples with their sex life, and you can access that through your GP or through the sexual health clinic.
Yeah, she's talking about England, obviously.
Oh, yeah. I always forget. But there are other ways you can help too, by knowing your worth and your value. So knowing where you can add to what's happening. So in the early days, helping your partner remember clinical appointments, reminding them to take their medication, listening to them, learning more about HIV yourself. And you can help your partner stay on track to becoming undetectable. That's like the joint goal, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
At the end of the day. I know it's a fine line between kind of being controlling or backing off completely. That's tricky no matter what the situation is. But I do think sometimes the language you use can help. So if you're helping them decide who they want to disclose to, talking again, it's communication. It's like you said, say, oh, how should we tell that person, rather than going, so how are you going to deal with this then? It's that, just less accusatory, isn't it? So we're both in this together, and you it's important that obviously they decide who they want to know about their diagnosis, but the telling of that's a joint thing. That's where you can be supportive.
Yeah, and the use of language, like we talked about. Remember we spoke to Will, lovely Will Hampson, and he uses totally different terms than other people do. He said some people got really offended if he called it like the AIDS when he was joking with somebody. It's not about everyone telling you what you should be how you should be referring to your own HIV. It's about having those conversations and saying, well, how are you comfortable? What do you want? Do you want to be jokey? But yeah, I think it's, like you're saying, just communication.
Yes, definitely. Now, we have assumed throughout this that you are already in a relationship with your partner when they're diagnosed. But what if you're single? You meet someone, things are going really well, and they disclose they've got HIV. Well, if you're a regular listener, you will give them a big hug because you'll know that that's a very brave thing to do.
Yeah. And they've trusted you enough to do that.
Exactly. It's a huge indicator that person is looking for the relationship to become either more permanent or to go further. They've chosen to trust you.
To compliment.
Yeah, exactly. And it should be taken in that way. So, you give yourself a big pat on the back for that.
Yeah.
Obviously, they trust you. But what do you do with that piece of information? They'll be braced for some questions, but really, there's only one that you need to know. Are they undetectable? You can explain that, all about you equals you. I think the only point when I was putting all this together that I thought, oh, hold on, no. And actually, it doesn't matter whether it's a casual or a serious relationship. How do you trust what they're telling you? So if they go, yeah, I'm undetectable, it's absolutely fine. Do you trust them? Because some people lie. I say like a toddler, don't I? People lie.
Oh, some people do lie, but that's like anything in life, though, isn't it? That's sort of just a standard life rule where, I mean, yeah, it's a tough one. I mean, if I had just met somebody, I don't know. I don't know what you're trying to say. Are you trying to say?
Right, I'll tell you what I would suggest you do.
Oh, okay, go on then.
I would suggest that if you're kind of getting to know someone and they say that they're HIV positive, but they're undetectable, and you're like, don't really know them well enough yet to know whether they're being truthful or whether they just want to get me in bed. You can always suggest using a condom anyway, because whilst they know and they've shared their status with you, you might not know yours. So it's a kind of a good get out if you don't know them well enough to say, well, I want to protect you because I haven't been tested recently. So let's use a condom to protect you. That's what I do.
I love that. And other STIs as well.
Exactly. Covers everything then.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that should be the default for any new partner, actually, whether you're positive or negative. I've said it before, Jess, I'm going to say it again. It never ceases to amaze me how people can be scared off when someone discloses their HIV status, but will quite happily have unprotected sex with someone without checking their status at all. I just find it bonkers. Do you know what? If I was single and I met someone new, I would screen them for everything, not just sexual health. I'm talking nits, worms, scabies, athlete's foot. I'd be CSI blue lighting them, infrared lighting them, the whole shebang. No one is getting near my clean bled sheets without being given the all clear.
Wow. Would you?
Well, I mean, by the time we've done all that, the moment would have passed. I wouldn't be in the mood anymore. I'd be like, you'd have to go home.
Yeah, I'm exhausted now. You'll have to come back tomorrow.
I bet though, some people would like that. We should develop that as a fetish sideline.
I bet it is. I bet there's a fetish out there like that.
There's someone in the world that is like, oh yeah, check me for nits.
Why do just children get nits, or like mainly children? Why is that?
Oh, I think adults do too. My kids have had nits. I don't think I had them, but believe me, I scrubbed the whole family. And my kids had really short hair.
But that's what I'm saying. I know adults can get nits. I'm aware of that. But why is it just this like epidemic that plagues primary schools throughout the nation? It's just like, nit central.
It is. Yeah. I just think people don't check. Whereas I'm all about that nit comb when they were little.
Oh, I hated that. But yeah, sorry, I took us away from.
So I think some people don't check for worms either, and we all should.
How do you check for worms?
If you have an itchy bottom.
That's it. That's literally how you check for worms.
Well, you can see them, obviously, but it's
in your shit. Is that what you're saying?
Well, I suppose they could be in that, yes, but they could also at night they would come out and have a little party around your.
They don't. They come out at night.
Well, you could see them. I don't think you have, but if you've got an itchy bottom, get Ben to check it out.
Are you being serious that they come out of your butthole at night?
Well, you could see them, yes. I only know this because a friend of mine told me when her kid, who happened to sit next to my kid, told me that she'd seen them. And I was like, straight
Why
down
was
the
she looking
chemist.
at his butthole at
Because
night?
he's scratching. He's like, I'm really, really itchy. And she was like, oh, I'll have a look. And then
You
she
can
was like,
tell I don't
"Oh."
have children because all of this sounds horrifying. I'm just like, no, terrible.
Well, it's because I was going to say they all lick each other. Maybe, I don't know.
That's not what you meant.
But they don't, no, they're not great at washing their hands, are they?
I suppose.
And they're all
Gross.
hugging each other and touching each other all the time, sitting next to each other. Oh, it's made my head itch.
Yeah, it's made me itch. I mean, I still can't quite get over the fact that if you've got worms, they come out of your butt at night. That honestly, that
They
is like
must
something
be.
out of a horror film.
They must be, yes, because they're coming down from the intestines, aren't they?
What? And then off they go back home again, straight back up again when the sun comes
Yeah,
out.
I don't know why they come down at night.
I'm going to have to look this up.
Them.
Right, there are two things I'd like the answer to from our listeners. A, why do worms come out of your butt and go back again? That's madness. And B, does anyone have the answer to the pool water sex question? Will we all get stuck together in some kind of crazy vacuum? Because if you ever watched the film Showgirls, possibly one of the most awful / best films in the universe. Okay. Well, you should go and watch it this weekend. Oh my God, please watch it this weekend. Don't look it up, just watch it. But there is this scene, if anyone's seen Showgirls, in it, where she thrashes a lot, sex in a swimming pool. And I always thought, is she going to get stuck to him?
Because of the volume of water.
No, if you think about it, right, I'm going to do a horrible, horrible action now. Right, if you think about it, so the water goes in with the penis, right, and it's in there. And as it's doing this, like an air vacuum causes. And so you know how sometimes if you put something in something underwater, it gets stuck like that. You can't get it back out again. That was always a rumour when I was young. So can anybody please shed some light on this?
No, I don't think it's true. Because fish have sex.
I feel like I need to just press like the eject button to end this podcast. Like, fish aren't humans.
But do they have penises? Yeah, they must do. How do
don't they like there's egg? No, you're making it sound stupid. Stop making it sound stupid.
But that is a good question. I'm going to Google that.
Anyway,
so that's 3 questions we've got. Seahorses have sex in water. I don't know how they all do it though.
They have eggs. Fish have eggs. They lay eggs, don't they?
Like chickens.
Yeah. My God. Has anyone got any brain cells left listening to this podcast? I feel like
no one's listening now. Everyone's switched off.
Making everyone stupider.
No, people will know the answers to this.
I really hope so. If there's an order of questions I want answered, it's the water one first, the water sex one, my original one. That's the priority, everyone. Okay, let's get that one answered first.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Should we go back on topic?
Oh, I thought we'd finished.
I have a little summary. I can't be bothered to do it now. I'm absolutely shattered. I need to have a lie down.
And I will go and come up with a limerick.
Or a poem.
Or a poem, okay.
Don't do it for Sarah, though. That's quite a difficult name to rhyme with anything.
Didn't you get called anything at school? Like, I got called, like, Jess the Mess. Like,
Did you? Why?
Just because it rhymes.
No, nothing rhymes with Sarah.
What did they call you at school?
Sarah.
Thanks for listening to the HIV podcast. If you enjoyed our podcast, please like, rate and subscribe wherever you listen to your podcasts.
You can now also follow us on Instagram and TikTok at the HIV Podcast for behind the scenes insights and video. The HIV Podcast is produced by Thames Valley Positive Support.